I'm very excited to meet with you today because you've recently returned from a trip from India, and just based on your post, it seems like you've had a transformation. And I was hoping that you could share that experience with us because I can see it in you, just in your aura and everything. It's just, you're fantastically bright.
Wow, that's such a nice feeling to be seen as fantastically bright.
You are. You're amazingly bright.
I do feel that.
Yeah.
I do feel that. I feel like, honestly, I feel like there was a death process that occurred while I was in India, and it was beautiful, and it was so painful. I mean, it wasn't like... it wasn't like I went to India and I had the eat, pray, love experience of like, just this beautiful experience in the ashram and la-da-da. No, actually, it was like total annihilation of self on a really deep level and just really waking up and growing in compassion in ways that I hadn't realized I had been previously blocked. Thinking I was super compassionate, but realizing it's like you have to go to another country, I think, to really open your heart on some level to the various human experiences that,
right.
That are happening right now.
No,
that I don't see here in Tucson, but over there, I mean, I had some profound communion with beings who are like limbless, like serious physical disability things going on, sitting on the side of the road, just, asking for money and but they can't even talk, or they have something serious going on. Yeah, I feel there was definitely a purification of toxic worldview that I had that was just maybe, just not so horribly tainted. I mean, it wasn't overall this negative view, but there were some key things that were holding me back that were unveiled in India. And in India, it feels like, at least to me, it feels that each day is like you've lived a couple of years. The karma, I feel, is accelerated there. And I don't know, it could just be my experience because I studied yoga for so long and I had so many connections there. Everything that I've treasured my whole life and studied pretty much comes from India. From, Buddhism, Hinduism, yoga philosophy, Vedanta, and all the contemporary, more modern Indian thought, like Krishnamurti or Osho, it was more radical. All this stuff influenced me growing up, and that was a huge part of who I am. So to go to the homeland of this, and be in the culture where all this, took place, the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about, battlefield. I mean, I was near the area where that happened, it's something about that. I think, maybe it just kind of helped me dismantle all the old ideas of this American Tamara or whatever, because I really feel I don't care about any of that anymore. I don't, it's really interesting. It's just the story of Tamara and all that is just not so mesmerizing. Mm-hmm.
How do you, what do you think your practice is going to look like as you're developing it going forward?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be fluid, and that's something else I really feel clear about. That the rigidity and the grasping to what's my practice, and I've got to do this today to feel right or something that's completely out the window for me now, completely. And I don't know if that's just the results of doing yoga for so long and meditation and practices to free my mind. That the result inevitably should be maybe you reach a point where you're not okay, I got to keep clinging to this practice, it's no. And so I feel now a lot more surrendered and just a lot more at peace, and and so I just really do what I feel moved in the moment. The one thing I'd like to talk about is how we are relating nowadays, and how that's also a big component of freedom. So for me, I have just recently let go of a lot of codependent tendencies. I would say that's been a huge death of my old way of relating to the world. I had no self-ownership. Basically, I was yours. And so if you didn't like me, then I was going to have to disagree with you and prove myself to you on some level. But I wasn't my own being. And that happened in personal relationship, in friendships, even in business at times, it was a slippery slope because I was still learning about business and how to navigate that terrain. But now I just feel so clear that you have to have self-ownership. And this may be a principle that you've already, discovered in your life, but for me, this has been a huge revelation about how that was lacking.
So tell me a little bit more about self-ownership, how you would define that.
I would say self-ownership is just really knowing that you don't belong to anybody else. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't have to. And even if you're a spiritual teacher tells you to, or and it to me it goes a lot with how you're raised. You get kind of conditioned.